It's coming on.
And let's see who's logged in. And it all. Yeah. I mean, I think we can get a team to work today. Okay. All right, so. Um, let's see. Can anybody hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
And we're being recorded. Stop standing. I thought we were doomed. Unfortunately, Catherine came through. And another passwords to get into the, so I can get into the system. And we'll see what happens. Okay, we have a format. I suppose I should introduce everybody. I guess how we usually start these things off. At the town hall, we have myself, Mark Rivers, we have Walter, Howard, John, Catherine, Leonard, our chief of police, and
fire chief.
fire chief. Okay, sorry about that. And Phil Gilmore from DCR. Online, we have Eric Stocker, Dave, Tom's online as a guest, and Art is online. So we have enough for a forum. So I think we're good to go. We're gonna open the meeting up. It's like 9:05. I'll review the agenda, which is pretty basic. We're just gonna go over the minutes. We'll have first time for public comments. With Leonard and Phil here, we're going to talk about some wildlife management issues that we discussed at our last meeting. Wildfire, not wildlife. We'll get an update on, a quick update on the Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force. And I'll do an update on the dam activities. And then any other thing that that comes up. Does that make sense to anybody? Or did I miss anything?
Okay.
Good. All right, so,
Is anybody else having trouble hearing? I just wanted to let you know, Mark, we're having some trouble hearing.
okay, let's see.
I can hear him just fine. It's just a little mumbled.
That could be me. It's just what my wife says. I wonder if I'd be picked up by the computer or by the owl. The owl seems to be working.
Well, you know what, just speak up and speak clearly.
Okay.
And it should work.
I'll speak up and slower.
That's
So
actually better. Yeah, thank you.
So also the real question is when you guys are speaking, can people hear? So while we test that out, did anyone hear Catherine a few minutes ago?
Catherine was perfectly clear.
Okay, so we know what the problem is.
All right.
All right, good to know. All right, so let's have our moment or open the public comments. Do we have any public comments? No one at the town hall, and no one online seems to have anything. There's raising their hands. So I think we're good to go with public comments. Let's take a minute to review the minutes from our last meeting, which was November 16th last year. I have a few copies out there. Any changes that could be made?
They look good to me, so I'll put a motion in to accept.
The only thing I would say is I wasn't at the meeting. I can't vote on the actual minutes, but at the very end, it says meeting was adjourned at 9:05. I'm thinking if that's true, that's a really efficient meeting.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm sorry I missed it.
By the way, Eric, you actually can vote even if you haven't been at the meeting.
I know, but I'm voting on historical events that I wasn't at. I know I can do it probably legally, but it doesn't seem right to me.
I believe that was 10:05, Mark.
Yeah.
So upon that correction, I will put a motion in to accept the minutes. Thank you, Eric.
No problem.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. Now, let's go around and vote. Let's see, Catherine,
Yes,
John, Howard, yes, Walter,
Yes.
Eric,
I am abstaining.
okay, and Art
Yes.
and Dave.
Yes,
Excellent. All right. Dave, why don't you, give kind of a summary of the discussions that we had last time and the letter that you sent, that we sent off, to the letter.
so I'm interested to get the comment from the letter. Obviously, I sent the letter and raised this concern because of the very dry spell that we had in the fall and the wildfires that were occurring in various areas of the state. And I know this is something that has been on the back burner for a long time. Walter Tibbetts brought this up a long time ago when we were talking about the issues with storm runoff and excessive rainfall. And what about the lack of rainfall? So I was curious if there was some sort of plan in place in town. And my feedback and my understanding was that there wasn't. That seemed to be confirmed to me in the meeting on Wednesday night with emergency management, where the word fire was not mentioned once. So I wrote this letter. I'm mainly looking for comment and feedback. I'm assuming people probably want to poke holes in it, which is fine. I believe there should be some sort of plan in place. I believe foremost that we should be communicating to the members of the Lake Wyola situation what I believe the current situation that they're in, and that there is no plan. And as a group of homeowners living around the lake, it'd probably be a good idea to discuss mitigation issues that they can do around their homes, etc.
Okay.
We wait for any larger.
I think,
Dave, you just got cut off your, we lost your last sentence.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I just, my last thought was that at minimum that we send a message to the Lake Wyola Association about what they can do to talk to homeowners about mitigation issues around their homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm more curious to hear what the fire chief has to say, and then we kind of take it from here.
yeah. Well, one of the problems with large plans is every fire and every scene is different. So we can have, standard operating guidelines that we try to do every time. But given it's a call department, sometimes there's only 2 people in town. It's hard to follow a plan that requires 10 people to do it. So we do have to ad lib per se. We have to make it work with what we got. I have basically the plan is for us, we respond to the scene and we're gonna do our best to put the fire out. If it's too big, we're gonna call in mutual aid for the neighboring towns. I have our run cards here, which I've changed. We have a structural one and a forestry one. So if the arriving crew on scene does a size up and says we can't fix this with our number of people, we're gonna go to a first alarm, then a second alarm, a third alarm, a fourth alarm, etc. After the second alarm, I will be getting, several other chiefs from the area. And after the 5th alarm, we would probably be looking into like a statewide forestry task force or structural task force if it's the actual houses around the lake. Yeah, I have these run cards here. I don't know if I can really post them, but I can leave them with the advisory committee here.
Okay.
As for the lake being more at risk than anywhere else in town, it's kind of hard to say. You know, yes, the houses are tight together, but at least you guys got water. If it's a large scene, typically we're gonna have a fill site. So the fill site's gonna be at the bridge, so I think, one fill site that's gonna be doing the drafting will be filling up all the trucks, so it's gonna be required. So I kind of think the multiple fill sites around the lake is kind of a moot point.
Okay.
You do have three different, starting from the dam, you guys can go three different directions. If one direction is closed because of fire, at least there's another two avenues of escape for the, for the evacuation. The topograph, most of the time fire burns uphill really fast, so it depends on where the fire is coming from, whether it starts in the middle of the forest and gets really large. Fire burns uphill better than it burns downhill. So being the lake is a little lower slope, that might be favorable. Now, obviously, if it starts at a barbecue grill at somebody's house and blows into the next neighbor's house and then can go up the hill that way, that's a possibility. So one of the, I think one important thing, you know, there's a fair amount of YouTube videos that are pretty good that basically say the same thing about, the do's and don'ts around your house. If you leave lots of trash, stacked cordwood and leaves up against your house, it's going to, sparks are gonna be more readily started and catch your house on fire versus a house with a clean lawn, low grass, and no trash or debris around your house. That includes like leaves blowing up underneath your deck. You know, all it takes is one little spark to get under your deck, catch the leaves on fire, then your deck's burning, and then your house is burning. So that's kind of one of the reasons why you see like out west in California, how you can see a neighborhood burn down and several houses still be okay. And typically it's like those yards were definitely cleaner than their neighbors' yards. So we do have pamphlets here about what you can do around your house to reduce that. The other thing, Phil, I talked to Phil and he has Phil Gilmore from DCR, and he knows more about the Firewise program, going to talking about you know, cleaning the forest and cleaning the trees around your house, and you're a lot more experienced at it than me, so you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and I want to thank you all for being a little bit more alert to this problem than most people are. We've got this program. It's a nationwide program that's been around for close to 30 years, and it's called Firewise USA, and it's mainly a community-based program that we come in and help guide you in making your community safer from wildfire. And a lot of stuff that Chief Veronica just talked about is definitely part of this program, like cleaning out the yards, making sure that you've got good defensible space around these structures. From what I remember, I haven't been through this area in a while. I sent my patrolman from the media out last week to take a look at it, and he was definitely concerned about the close proximity of your cottages and your houses, limited access and egress, just all kinds of different concerns, water supply, everything else. And like you stated in your, Mr. Rivers, in your letter, because it's so far away from the fire department, response time is a big concern, especially if we have multiple dwellings on fire and we need to get mutual aid in or another task force or whatever, it takes time to do that. This is what happened in Palisades in California this past fall. We've been studying that very closely. We had a close call in Northfield this year with two structures that were threatened from a simple brush fire. It was, leaves that were burning up slope, and like, the chief said, going uphill, if it's pushed by winds, fanned by winds going uphill, it can spread very, very rapidly. Northfield Fire Department did an outstanding job saving those two houses. It took a while for mutual aid to get in there, but we bought time enough so that those structures were saved, and we had a little bit of scorching on an outbuilding, and that was it. So, this is not a strictly a California phenomenon. This is something that can happen around here in Massachusetts. The amount of ignitions, I guess, the fire starts for brush fires is usually human caused here in Massachusetts. It's not a lightning strike fire or a natural fire, so we as the proprietors of the property needs to be aware of this. So once again, I thank you for paying attention to this problem. So we, as the Bureau of Forest Fire Control, with DCR, is more than happy to help you, your community, if you are so inclined in trying to introduce this program to the residents around the lake and actually to the entire town. So, I've got some pamphlets here. One of them is about the plan itself, about the program, and one that we would pass out to all the individual homeowners about how they can prepare their home and protect their home from wildland fire. So I will leave these with you. I've got a wall chart you can put up here if you sparked enough interest with the homeowners and you want to have a meeting with them or you want to get out to them. We can do that. This chart, you can go on the wall and kind of go through everything that's in the pamphlet. So that's here as well. So I definitely, from my report from my patrolman, and I'm gonna try to make it my effort to get out there next week and go around this area. I haven't been up there in a while. Way back when you started, I think we went up there. So, it's just certain things out there kind of lend credibility to your concern about this. The slope, the forest, the lack of access and egress, definitely water supply and response time, all kind of work against you in that area. So it is of really important concern. Was this identified on your FERCog emergency management? Remember, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, we went through that certain.
I believe so, but I don't know.
Okay.
Let me even look on that plan and see.
The, what is it, the multi-hazard?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a small, I got it, there's a small section on it. It's just a couple paragraphs on.
Well, everything was just little bits, you know, there's
Yeah.
nothing was in.
didn't really get into depth on any of the.
Yeah,
It was just identifying concerns
the
and.
multi-hazard
Right.
mitigation.
So can I ask a follow-up question to the chief?
Yep,
First off, I want to thank you both for coming in here and acknowledging the weather. I think I really appreciate that. I think that the committee does. I did not hear anything about fire in the emergency management plan that you are apparently redoing. Is it going to be included or not?
well, we were talking about the, Lake Wyola Dam EAP that I was, updating the phone numbers on, and I have to resubmit it.
There was a lot of
So-
talk about those snowstorms and power lines and how you guys would respond, and that the emergency management, I mean, obviously, it was brought up that it's completely outdated and that yet you are indeed going to be updating it. So I guess my question is wildfire going to be part of the town's emergency management program in the new updated version that the town administrator requested that we have?
Well, there was, like I said, originally, we were talking about the dam EAP, so there's no, that wasn't a fire related issue. The other two plans would be the SEMP plan and the multi-hazard mitigation plan. And those are, who wrote the multi-hazard mitigation plan? It's more of a FERCog.
It was FERCog in conjunction with the town and many different departments. That was done over a year or so of gathering information, identifying specific hazards and stuff like that. And then, putting that all together.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there are some pages about fire related on the multi-hazard mitigation plan that you can look up on the town website under emergency management. And as for on the scent plan, Nathan Moreau is going over that. So he wants to update that.
Maybe you can tell them what the scent plan is.
Yeah,
Comprehensive emergency management plan.
yeah. That, the copy we have is pretty old and it's gonna get updated. So we'll have to go through that with, Nate, the local coordinator from NEMA, and go from there, so. Yeah, so there are parts of fire related in it, and, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Okay, I would hope this committee would consider our guest offer of bringing this program into the town. I think it would be very beneficial to have the review, the flyers. Given the fact that we don't know what's going to be the emergency management plan, I think it really is behooving the residents to really be educated on this issue. And so we can all take some steps. So I would like to know what the rest of the committee's thoughts are on what was presented.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was wondering from the select board point of view, whether or not we could schedule an evening, whatever you want to call it, meeting or lecture or, symposium or whatever, that would have Lenny and anybody there who just could answer questions about what should be done and so forth. Does that make sense to try to set something like that up?
Or do we want to just have this program that's being presented to us be allowed to happen in town? I mean, he said he's willing to come out and do it for the lake, the community.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like the town, everybody in. I mean, I live in a wooded area that, believe me, if these woods ever caught fire, I'd be Paradise, California. I'm on the road. I'm
Right.
out of here.
No, I think it should be a townwide discussion. Absolutely. I mean, I obviously focused on Lake Wyola because we're the LW.
Yeah, sure.
We're LWAC, right?
Yeah,
But,
I get it. I'm not
I
saying
think
that's
there should be some sort of consensus here that let's bring this gentleman back and do what he says.
Bill, question for you. How long is this program? Is it a one night? Is it a couple nights?
The program itself is definitely a longer term type program. It is community based. It is up to the homeowners that are interested in this, that institute all those things that's in the pamphlet out there about cleaning around their structures, making sure that they're fire safe, they've got defensible space around their houses. We all know that fire departments, especially call volunteer small departments like what you have here, are pressed already with work that they have to do, and we're here to help.
I mean, the presentation that you put on.
Presentation, what I would do is have our program coordinator, he's down in the southeast. He will come out and do a presentation for whoever is interested. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, this is starting from your lake association, correct? And now you're thinking it may kind of expand into the whole town, which is fine. I mean, definitely awareness is really good. So if you want to call a town meeting and have anybody that's interested come in, we could definitely go through the program in probably about an hour and explain what we do. When I say community-based, what we do is we will bring in a group of firefighters that are trained in doing what we call home assessments, where we actually go into the community like your lake association and walk around the community, look at all the structures and the properties and all the surrounding environment, and rate the structure, each individual structure on things that they should do to protect their home and what they need to do as a group community, like egress and access or whatever. So it can expand into if the town wants to assist and possibly get the fire department involved in it. Also, the town highway department, if they have a chipper, if they have small dump trucks where we can get rid of a lot of the brush that they clear around their home and not have it piled up around their house. Like you said, piled up brush around a structure is not a good thing to have when it's a fire season. So clearing the brush is definitely one of the things that we want to do. And, proper landscaping around their home, getting vegetation away from the house. So there is work involved. And like I said, this is a community-based thing where people actually have to give a little to get a little. And I think you have a tight-knit community up here, and it may work out pretty well. So yes, if you want to have a general meeting, where, kind of present the program to everybody that might be involved, by all means, we will do it. When I asked for these pamphlets from Alex Below, he's our program manager on this, he was more than happy, and right off the bat said, if you want me to come out, I will definitely come out, whatever you want to do.
I think that we would want something for the whole town that could be done here, and it could be done on, as a hybrid meeting, so that there would be a recording of it, so that anybody could access it afterwards. But I also think that an in-person meeting with the Lake Wyola Association, when, during the summer, when a lot of people are here, would be really good
Okay.
for around there.
Sure. Yep. It's a program we're really trying to make available, because it kind of fell on deaf ears for many years. I started this thing probably 20 years ago, and it never really took off. Martha's Vineyard did a big one, Nantucket did a big one a few years back, and it really helped the community. So
it ends up being yesterday's news so quick.
Exactly.
Nowadays that,
And I think with the conditions that we have here now, believe it or not, we're still in a moderate drought stage here.
Right.
If we enter the spring season in a moderate or severe drought, we could be in brush fire season right off the bat.
That's
Right.
my concern.
Pardon me?
That is my concern.
Right. So we're on top of that. We're at least aware of it. And with all the attention that's happening in California right now, the nation is definitely paying attention to this. So I'm glad you guys were in front of it. And by all means, we will do anything and everything we can to assist on this. And I really think probably we'll be getting more interest from across Franklin County. And that's my responsibility, is all the towns in Franklin County. We started one of these programs in Montague because of the Montague Plains, and we're close to fruition on it. Once it's really kind of kicked into gear, we should have some pretty good results from that one as well. And I did one, it's kind of a unique one, last spring at the Eagle Brook School, because that campus is built on a hillside in the woods, and they were concerned. And we went through an emergency management plan with their powers to be out there, and we will be finishing that one up. Hopefully this spring. We were kind of put on the wayside because of the fall fire season that we went into, and we couldn't finish the last day that we wanted to do up there. So as the time goes by and more attention goes here, you'll be seeing this probably a little bit more in the news, this kind of a program. And like I said, I'm more than happy to help anything that we can do when it comes to this.
Do we need some sort of motion from the committee to move this process forward, Mark?
Yes, but before we do that, Catherine had a comment?
I was wondering if there's a cost to the town that we need to plan for.
Just
Your
the cost that
services.
you incur in what you're doing here. Nothing, the state doesn't charge anything for this.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Other comments or questions?
Dave, I think we should touch base about doing something separate at the lake when everybody gets back here.
I'm thinking though that if we institute this program, they're gonna do that for us, Art.
Right, but I mean, one in town and then one in the lake.
I thought that was part of, okay, that's fine, yeah.
I mean, unless you think one in town would be
You know
sufficient.
what, the more the merrier, Mark, Art, the more the merrier.
would, if you want to do 2 programs for
Sure.
them? Yeah.
I live in town. I mean, I live in town, so I'm close by. Yeah.
I'm not too sure how to word the motion. I'm gonna ask Catherine if she'd be willing to.
So Dave, we want a motion to, promote this, ask the select board to schedule it, or what?
Yeah, I think we should pitch it to the select board to kick the ball going in town. I know, Eric, I'm sorry, that's just one more thing we putting.
No,
on
I
your
know.
plate.
We love having stuff kicked to us.
Do you think that's the best process, Eric? Or-
Yeah, no, I do. I do.
Yeah, so I guess that's the motion, Catherine.
Okay, let's try this. I move that the committee vote to advise the select board to take steps to enroll or involve, or whatever the right verb is here, the town in the Firewise USA program, and request, public presentations from who? From
Phil Gilmore, DCR Forest Fire Control.
Phil Gilmore, DCR Forest Fire Control.
I would second that motion.
So, I guess we should vote on it. It's sort of fast. So we'll just go around the room and vote. Walter,
Yes.
Howard, John,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes,
Dave,
Yes,
Eric,
Yes,
Art,
Yes,
and Mark votes yes too.
thank you guys very much.
yeah, thank you so much.
One more question before we go off topic. What's the sequence of events here? Where we talked about doing home assessments? We talked about the presentations. Is there an order to things? Is
I
there-
would have a meeting with your associate, well, the associate would be late with the town. We should have an awareness meeting, just a presentation of the program itself.
That's the first step.
We could do that in less than an hour, so if you wanted to do it at a selectmen's meeting or whatever you want to do to get people involved, come up and do that and just do an overall presentation of what the plan involves and what the program entails for the community. Like I said, you really need to drive that this is a community-based program, that the residents need to participate and do some of the actual work.
Nobody's gonna come in and clean up their yard for them.
Exactly.
That's right.
Like I said,
Education.
our town departments are strapped in, we've got more than enough to do, so this is where it kind of kicks in. And this is why I really liked part of the Lake Association, because this is a select group of people that has this program, or this problem. So it's good that we can start there. The rest of the town you may not get as much volunteerism, if you will, but you never know. You know, like I said, with the attention that's being focused on it right now, a lot of people are concerned about it.
Or I would also suggest that we don't need to wait for people to come back into town. We could just do a Zoom meeting like we did our Lake Wyola social meetings during the COVID era. I would think you should get the ball going on that, talk to George, let him know what's going on. And before, we should have people talking about this before people get back to their cabins.
yeah, I'll send a note off to George this weekend and copy you in, and maybe among the three of us, we can see how quickly we can get this going.
Super duper.
Is it okay if I scan these documents, these pamphlets, and email to
Absolutely.
the association and,
Yep.
and to the members who aren't here? Okay, good. So no copyright issues here.
No.
Mail those to the select board too, Mark, please.
Sean, can I leave a couple of copies in this select board box? Or just.
That would be
email them?
fine, or, if you email it, just selectboard@shutesbury.org, I mean, we all get it, so that would work, and
Alright.
as does the town administrator.
Okay, I will do that. I'll put you guys in the email. Any other issue or any other discussion or comments on this? Just so I understand it, again, first part is the presentation, second, and then after the presentation, you guys can do some assessments.
Yes.
Home
Now,
assessments.
the home assessments, are they spurred by the homeowners requesting it? Or you go down and knock on somebody's door and say, as part of this?
We've
program,
done both.
Okay.
Because it's a select, like I said, a select group, you probably can kind of reach out to everybody that's part of the association and just give them the
They,
the
on this
criteria. On
day,
this day,
on
we're
this day,
gonna have-
people from DC are gonna be walking around.
walking
doing
around your
assessments.
neighborhood, doing assessments. If you'd like to meet and talk with them about it, concerns, we hand out pamphlets and different things like that. So, yeah, the home assessment is the big thing. Then it kicks into their involvement in doing all the things that we bring to light. So they get a check sheet on what we find at their residence and their property. And then it's probably have a final report that will go back to your association, governing body. And I believe it's kind of like a graduation program where if you show progress through this and really kind of make this community more fire safe, then it gets nationally recognized and put on the map.
Usually we don't want to be on the map.
Yeah,
Next thing on the map is the right reasons instead of the wrong reasons.
That's a problem, can't think.
Good. Thank you very much. This is really informative. It's really helpful. I know there's a lot of concern around the lake because when the house goes up, it's.
It could be the next one or the next
Our
one.
two biggest or densest populations, the biggest one is the lake, it would be not amount of houses in the density, and the other one is back in the reservoir area, which, you know, it's a lot of places that they built their houses all around trees and they're covered in trees and vine trees and all that stuff down there, but I don't know if you get the same reaction that you would from the lake.
Well, that,
I think Cooleyville's pretty susceptible too. I mean, you know, but there aren't very many of us, but it would burn in a second.
Yeah, but I mean, the high density where.
Yes, right.
What one person does is gonna affect 20 other people.
sure,
Correct.
Not so much of it as we get spread out, there's a lot of space in between, it's just those are the areas that if something goes in one house or one yard, it's gonna easily spread into a bunch of other ones really quick.
right.
Yeah.
If I could, one thing, you bring up a very good point, Walter, that kind of speared my interest in this when, the chief approached me on it, was because DCR has that property around the lake and the lake beach. And I know how crazy that place gets on the weekends and how full it gets. If we had a wildfire in the middle of that season, which is definitely a possibility during drought season, evacuating that area on top of your community could become a huge issue. And this is things that I've been concerned about on Cape Cod. You got two bridges on Cape Cod, a population that swells tenfold every year. And if you get a wildfire in there, how do you get people out of the way? And this is what happened in Palisades. So it's definitely one of those areas that you don't think about right off the bat. And then all of a sudden you say, whoa, we got people out of here. So that's my part as far as DCR saying, oh, this is important to us too.
One more question for me. Have you gotten any pushback from local conservation commissions on clearing brush? Because it's a big issue around the lake is that you're not supposed to touch anything within 50 feet of the lake.
Yes, there would be, there could be, I wouldn't say would, but there could be some pushback from the Conservation Commission because you're in a, what do you call a riparian zone?
Yeah.
Where you've got to be really careful about what you take and what you remove. So definitely bring them into the loop on this, that if you've got properties that are really close, how much vegetation can we or can't we take? So definitely work together with them on that. Yep.
Okay, any other comments?
Tom's got his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom, I missed it. Go ahead, Tom.
Sure. Yeah, I realize we're not on that big screen behind you, so you can't see all of us the way we can see all of you. My question had to do with fireworks and whether they're also a topic that would be brought into this discussion. I know ever since I've lived here, there have been huge fireworks displays every July 3rd around the lake. And could the gentleman who presented just let us know whether that's part of the program, raising awareness about that, seeing if firework shows are sanctioned or rogue, please?
You're absolutely right. It is a concern. How you actually regulate that, that would be up to your law enforcement community, how they could actually do that. And you're right, it's usually rogue, if you want to use that term, but it's residential type firework displays that you folks have, I'm sure. It's not a professional display that is regulated by the state. But it is definitely a concern that we should bring to the residents, because that was one of the possible origins of the Palisades fire this year because of New Year's Eve fireworks. So it's definitely a concern and you want to address that. Good point, very good point.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good meeting.
Yep.
And let me know if you come up with a timeline or anything like that, or anything
Okay.
else I can do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, nice. Okay, Six on the agenda is, just an update about the stormwater erosion, task force. Jennifer wasn't able to give us an update, and I know they've had meetings. There was a good meeting with FERCog to go over the watershed-based plan. And it was discussed in terms of the effects on erosion and what we can do and how we can get that plan going to reduce the erosion going into the lake. So I know they're working on it. If anybody had any additional information, that I don't have. Yeah, I know, I don't want to put Tom on the spot. Yeah, Tom, do you have anything?
Could you repeat that, please? I just heard my name.
You regularly attend the erosion, the water, stormwater erosion, committee meeting or task force meeting. Do you have, any information to give us on what's currently going on?
At our last meeting, we didn't really make any committee decisions about what we're going to talk about. But I remember that we essentially summarized for each other how we thought the presentation from FERCog was showing us ways to go forward, the next steps we might take. So, some of the things on the table are a hydraulic and hydrologic study for many of the upland areas around the lake, down to the lake. Another thing to consider at some point in time would be what's called the fluvial geomorphic study for the Fisk Brook system. And I guess I would say in our last meeting, we mostly concentrated now on identifying the grants that we could begin preparing for to do engineering studies, whether it be an H&H or an FGM study. And it appears as though I had the impression, but again, I'm only speaking for myself, but I think it was pretty generally said that the H&H, FGM, MVP study, or the engineering studies, excuse me, would probably be funded by grants called either the MVP grant or the Section 319 or the 604B grants. You would have to look at our meeting to get more information about those. And they would enable, or they allow for, I guess I should say, things like the town applying for something where also some of the land involved is not town owned. So, because that's one of our biggest hurdles, I guess you might say, is how to form partnerships for applications for funding for engineering studies, and then for the projects that the engineering studies end up identifying for us, between the public land ownership and the private land ownership involved, the town, the LWA roads, and then the individual homeowner properties. So I think we are getting more specific now, because a lot of those topics you've probably heard before, but now I would say we're actually naming grants and understanding how we can get FERCog to help us. There's also some technical assistance money that comes from, I believe, the state, but at least through FERCog we would apply as a town. And it's very possible that this January the town might even apply for some technical assistance money from FERCog, which would enable them to help us apply and look at the grants better. I hope that was helpful information, not just a rehash of old information for you.
No, very helpful, very much.
One thing that has come up, and Tom mentioned it, I mean, and no one's making, including myself, making any advocacy here, but one thing that has come up is the notion that in terms of our getting grants, the fact that the Lake Wyola Association roads are private roads is a problem. But that is to say, there are many grants that just we can't use grant money for that. So at least the subject has been broached, and I will emphasize that word broached, of the town eventually owning those roads, figuring out a way that maybe those should become town roads, and that might make it more easier for us to get grants. I mean, that's a long topic of discussion. I'm just throwing it out there. That's one thing we have talked about.
Wasn't that a big topic of discussion way back, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago?
Yes.
And the obstacle was that the roads don't meet standards of width, so that the town could not acquire them. That's what I thought was the sort of.
Yeah, the
final
people didn't
determination.
wanna give up their land to make it wide enough either.
Right, I don't,
And
yeah,
that time it was only 20 feet, and I think it's 40 now
no kidding.
for a regular.
Yeah.
road.
I'm not sure. I mean, I live on a town road, dirt road that, I mean, it's not up to any standards. I can tell you that. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Catherine. That's a good point.
Can I
I
add one
did
thing on
mention it
that?
in the past, there were huge fights about like the roads down around Sumner Mountain Road and down those roads. I believe we've never made those town roads, but there were huge town meetings about that. So I would caution that this is a slippery slope, getting this discussion.
And ownership isn't the only mechanism to allow for some perhaps better eligibility or feasibility of obtaining grants. There are easement possibilities where the ownership actually wouldn't be in the town's hands. And I can't remember the other word right now, but there are options because there might be issues like that. Like, is this truly a legal
Yeah.
road, say size wise? But things that would enable the town to apply as its own entity would make anything more doable with most of these grants. So the more that can be done that the sole applicant is the town and that the partnerships and agreement understandings are kind of sub-level and not at the face level of the application with the private owners would just be more efficient, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, you have a situation where the Lake Wyola Association is in charge of maintaining the roads. And my understanding, I obviously don't live at the lake, but my understanding is that a large percentage of the population doesn't even belong to the Lake Wyola Association. So, I mean, if that's the case, you sort of get this very weird situation there. That's all I can tell you.
You know, I've always said, Eric, that it doesn't matter whether you pay your dues or not. If you live around here, you're part of the community. So
Right. Oh, yeah, I'm not suggesting you're not.
Right.
But yeah.
So yes and no on that, right?
Right, but in terms of road maintenance, it costs money. And so you've got a situation where somebody's paying it and somebody isn't. You know, that's just an odd situation. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's
But
not the way the town works. Let's just put it that
You
way.
have plenty of private homeowners that do the work on their own and don't ask for any money. You know, you got half half the population of this lake owns a tractor. So, I mean, like I said, you're great. It's a funny situation, but you know, it's not black and white, put it that way.
Right.
Good. Any other comments? Thank you, Tom, for the update. And,
Sure.
And it's just nice that things are still moving forward.
Very much.
So next item on the agenda is just an update on the dam activities. I can give you a kind of overview of that. Item one is on the positive side. It's all on the positive side. I shouldn't imply that something's not positive. But the orders of conditions that allow us to do the annual drawdown has been extended through January of 2027. And so we can continue doing a drawdown for the next 2 years. So that's very positive. The dam engineering company called GZA, they're out of Springfield. They're still working on getting Chapter 91 exemption requests completed. It's at the state level, and I talked with them earlier this week, and they're expecting a response from the state very shortly, like within a week or two. So before our next meeting. And that basically allows us to to operate the dam legally. It allows us to do what we've been doing for the past 30 years. And so if we don't get the exemption, it just means we spend more money to go file through all the permits and go through the permitting process to get the Chapter 91 license in place. But this is, kind of a requirement for a structure on the water, and hopefully we'll get the exception required, the exemption, and therefore we can just keep moving ahead.
And that's permanent?
Yeah, we'll be permanent, because we've been managing the lake level and the dam since before 1984, and we have records of it. We become exempt basically. Which just saves the town a lot of money. This is in 2025, this year, we have to do another dam inspection, and GZA will be doing that dam inspection. Funds have already been approved for it, and the town's also approved some money so that GZA can apply for a grant to do the design work for the dam upgrades or dam repairs and maintenance. So that's going on, and I'm applying to, or we are applying to the CPA for funding. So there's really two phases of this project here. One is to do the design and specifications for the scope of work. So and that's about a $55,000 project. It's hoped that we'll get a grant from the dam and seawall grant, which the Department of Dam Safety gives out. We'll get 75% from them and 25% from the CPA grant. So I filled out the application for the CPA grant. Catherine did a nice job of helping me clean it up and make it sound a little better. I will submit that to the CPA. Well, I think everyone's okay with the idea. I'll submit that to the CPA or CPC group later this week. And GZA will apply for the seawall grant, and hopefully all these grants will come through relatively quickly. And we can get started on the design and statement of work. Once that's complete, we then will take that scope of work and send it to construction companies who will then actually do the actual work. And they'll bid on it, and they'll do the work. That's the thought is that would take place next year in 2026. The estimate for that is about $150,000 to do all the repairs that are needed. Some of that will apply for another dam seawall grant. For some of that money, we'll apply for some CPA funds to do that. So we're hopeful and optimistic that things will be moving forward and the dam will be in solid shape at the end of 26.
Have you informed capital planning?
I have not done that yet. I tried to fill out, I was working on yesterday the capital request form.
Mm-hmm.
I have some questions on it, because I just don't know what to put in. I'm not sure how much money I'm supposed to put in for.
Right.
Is it for the full amount, the $55,000, or just the CPA funding? And if we don't get the seawall grant, what happens? And so I'm a little in the dark here on what to do.
Right, maybe you should talk to Ellen about it and basically just let them know that you've got, a big expense coming down the line, and we don't know how much the town will end up being liable for.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Ellen McKay is the chair of the capital planning committee.
Okay. And I can email her stuff?
Yeah.
Or start a discussion that way?
Yeah.
Okay. I will put something together, probably this weekend and get it out to them and see what's going on, get their take on it. I sent Gabe an email request to say how much do I ask for. And, I haven't heard back yet from her, but, you know,
Ellen's also in the town hall a lot. I mean, I don't know where her hours are posted, so she's in the town hall as the tax collector. She's there. So you could just Zoom, you just go talk to her too.
okay, well, that's,
The old fashioned way. Hey, I have to go to another meeting, so I'm gonna sign off here. Good to see everybody.
I'm in the
Yeah.
same boat, Mark. I've got a 10 o'clock I've got to go to, so I
All right.
apologize.
Before you
I
guys go, are we gonna need a vote on this CPC thing?
Yeah.
And are we gonna need their votes?
Yeah, let's do a quick vote.
Okay.
Is
I
there,
move
Okay.
that we, pursue a CPC grant for the, dam repair plan.
I second that motion.
so let's have a vote. We'll start off with Eric,
Stalker eye.
Dave,
Aye.
Art,
Hey,
Walter,
Yes.
Howard, John,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes,
and Mark, is yes. All right, thank you very much. You guys can go. I think we're just about done here. There's one
I
more
can,
item.
I can hold on if we're about done, so we can do a motion to adjourn. So that will give us a quorum.
I got one thing
Howard?
on this, these people that are GCA, those that are, well, anybody
Yeah.
that's coming out. Please let me know. Nobody ever calls me and tells, and I saw in their report that they couldn't get in the gatehouse. Well, nobody told me they were there, so I couldn't come down and unlock it.
I will send them an email. I'll copy you on that email.
I got a question on the dam inspection. How often does that get done?
Every 2 years.
Okay,
So the last one was done in 2023. This one here is, they'll do it probably in the fall. I think one.
Usually.
Yeah.
Did it in the fall.
He has done it.
and you get a report of
We got
whatever.
a very nice report. I can send you the last one if you like.
Okay, if you don't mind, thank you.
Called phase 1 inspection report.
Okay.
There should be copies around the state.
I've seen them.
Upstairs in the, you know, in the, well, I don't know where it is now, but when I left, it was upstairs in the closet. There was a bookcase with all kinds of emergency management
Yeah.
stuff and plans.
Yeah.
They were in there.
Yeah,
They're still on, but
And this report describes all, problems that need to be corrected
yes, yeah,
With pictures.
with pictures. Yeah,
need those.
that sounds good. I'll get that up to you.
some of the plans may just be electronically too. Because to print them up, costs a lot of money to do the local plans, so lots of times.
Yeah.
Morris would just send them electronically.
Yeah,
Hard
okay.
copy that print them yourself.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Any other agenda items? Okay, it's just 10 o'clock, 10:01. Have a motion to end the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All right, let's get the vote on it. Walter?
Aye.
Yeah.
yeah.
Catherine, Mark is aye. Eric,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and Art.
yes,
Have a great one, guys. See you next month.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Just, leave a pile of
Yes,
these, or do you want me to just leave one and you can photocopy, or?
Well, does everybody want copies of those?
We all,
It's just, the fire wise is probably more important.
we don't have brush fires. We
Yeah.
don't have it around.
Okay. And, here's our present run cards,
What is that?
our run cards.
It's a run card.
So basically, when we show up to a fire and it's something we can't handle, we call for a first alarm, second alarm, third alarm, fourth alarm, fifth alarm. Okay, so that's who's gonna be coming.
Is that something we should, I can scan for the minutes, or is that criteria?
This can change from year to year, because every now and then we'll do things, things get changed, but I'm just saying, that's kind of what we do. It's hard to write plans out when, What happens if we only have two people in town?
I don't know, I think the reality is if it's something, it's something catches on fire, I feel like it's, and so, you know,
That's true.
wildfire kind of thing,
Yeah.
forest fire, I think the place is gone.
Yeah,
And it's, unless you're gonna host out your house,
yeah. So,
thanks a lot.
yeah.
And, I got the brush fires, okay.
Brush fire ones.
Yep.
More of them,
Want the extra?
Yeah, it does. I'll put them back into the bin.
Okay.
Yep.
Real. We got
Yep.
the gray house.
Fire wise is the most important.
And the brush fire. And, okay.
Yeah.
And you can keep that, save on the paper.
Yeah, okay. You're done, okay.
Good.
All right. Yeah, maybe I should try to make some of these meetings. Yes,
So it's up to.
yeah,
Just got driving now.
yeah, it's not driving an hour, yeah.
Big water.
Sorry, I'm tired of it.